welcome back to the channel, and welcome to the channel if you've never been before. And today we are talking Spider-Man No Way Home. Finally got the review out, ready to go. There are massive spoilers ahead, so if you haven't been to see the film yet, please go and watch the film and then come back to this video. But without further ado, let's get right to it. So yeah, as we said, we are talking Spider-Man No Way Home spoilers. So please, if you have not watched this film, go and watch it, then come back and see my thoughts on it, because there are some major spoilers here. And we're getting started. And with, oh my god, initial thoughts of the film. It's amazing. It's spectacular. It's ultimate. Superior. It is the best Spider-Man movie out there. And dare I say, the best superhero movie to date. Oh my god. They could not have done anything better in this film. While there are some little nitpicks, which I'm not going to get into, because I don't see the point. I'm going to get you all the good stuff. And oh my god. They're in it. They are in it. Toby and Andrew do indeed show up in this movie. And they have quite a big chunk in the film. You know, we're talking roughly an hour and 20 minutes into the film. They show up and there's still a good hour and a half left of the film. You know, they get a decent amount of screen time, and oh boy is it so good. I absolutely love this movie. There is nothing that I can say really that makes me think, you know what, this movie isn't that good. It absolutely hits the heights that it needed to, and it does it in a way that makes you think, wow, what can they do next? What can they do? I mean, with the ending alone, it makes you think about what they're going to do next. But what can they do next? I absolutely don't know. Like, based on the end credits scene, you'd think they're going to go down the symbiote route. But then again, it could be that, you know, that maybe they're going to save that down the line for something else. So it might not necessarily be the next story that we get from Toby Holland. However, it has been confirmed that Toby Holland is continuing on as Spider-Man in Spider-Man 4, and it's currently in development. A lot of fans were saying, like, you know, what if it's the Spider-Man 4 Tobey Maguire and not Tom Holland's Spider-Man 4? Then it would be interesting to see where things go. But oh my, it's just a brilliant film. Like, when you go down, like, the villains for starters, the villains are amazing. Reese Ifans and Thomas Hayden Church is Lizard and Sandman do not get all that much screen time. They do not get enough focus in the film, unfortunately. Some of the scenes that you get with them when they are in their human form does look like reused scenes. It doesn't look like they're physically there. Could be wrong, but that's the way it looks. That's probably the only nitpick I have about this film that's going to be in this review. But this is just an amazing film, and it's such a celebration of Spider-Man. You know, getting into Pacifics here, when Doc Ock turns up, and he's like, "Where's my machine?" And obviously Tom Holland and Spider-Man's like, "What the hell are you talking about?" And it's like, and Doc Ock is just like, you know, the power of the sun in the palm of my hands. And it's like, nostalgia hits hard here. It's so amazing. Willem Dafoe's, it always sounds like I'm saying William, but I'm not saying William. Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin is absolutely amazing. There is no doubt that he's the one to take away from this. That he does it justice. Every scene he's in, he steals. Wouldn't say he steals it from other stars necessarily, like Tom Holland when he's in scenes with Tom Holland, or when he's in a scene with Toby for a slight second, which that's another nitpick. I wish that that Tobey Maguire had a sort of rematch with Green Goblin. That would have been interesting to see. Like, an older version, a more experienced version of Spider-Man, Tobey's Spider-Man, go up against Green Goblin. We didn't get that, unfortunately. I know it's not necessarily what the film is about, but, you know, you get these little bits in the film where it does connect from, like, Tobey's universe, like, from Spider-Man to Doc Ock. You get a scene there. And Tobey, obviously, this is another thing with nostalgia and another line that's being reused. When Doc Ock asks Tobey's Spider-Man, you know, how you been? And Tobey just replies, trying to do better. Of course, that is a line from Spider-Man 2 that was said to Doc Ock, and it's just so nice to see. And it's not like it's forced. It's not like it's just said. You can clearly see on Tobey's face he's thinking about what to say, and it's sort of like a realisation. It's like, oh, okay, I can say this to call back the last time we met, where things were good, you know. And it's just like, it's just so nice. It's so heartening. Getting on to some of the really nitty gritty stuff in this film is that Aunt May's death is just so heartbreaking. I teared up in the cinema. My dad even teared up in the cinema. He told me there was a little man tear that came out. Something that, you know, you never hear from my dad. Well, you won't because you've never seen him really. But but yeah, the man teared up over Aunt May's death. It was so upsetting. But I knew it was coming, and I only knew it was coming the moment she said, "With great power comes great responsibility." I thought, oh, don't say that, because you're now dead. No one that's ever said that has ever survived. It made me a little bit scared for some of the other characters. When Tom Holland and Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield were coming to talk about it, and like, I thought, Tobey just said at least half of it. Does that mean he'll die later? No. But no, none of that happens. I mean, there is a moment where I think they're going to kill Tobey off, and I thought, I'm going to fucking piss. It would be a moment that would absolutely piss me off. Tobey dying in this film, but thankfully none of that happened. Got stabbed. That's it. He's been stabbed before. You know, it's nothing. So yeah, Aunt May does die in this film, and it's very upsetting. It's very upsetting for Tom Holland. Tom Holland's Pete Parker. So dire, such a dire moment in the film, and you're thinking, how are we going to go forward from here? You know, clearly Tom Holland's Peter Parker is devastated, and it's just so upsetting to watch. And obviously, one of the best scenes we get in this movie, you know, obviously at this point you've had the moment where Tobey and Andrew have already turned up. Something that's been talked about quite a bit. It's nice to see them back in the role, don't get me wrong, and it's nice to see them sort of fit into the roles that they were before. You know, it's that witty, youthful Andrew Garfield and the sort of down-to-earth Tobey Maguire Spider-Mans that we get. But the next scene that we get with them, when they're going to meet Tom Holland, is the scene for me that really does show the writing talents, because we get, you know, a little bit of information about what's happened with Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man since Amazing Spider-Man 2, where he's he's no longer pulling his punches. Something which would be interesting to see down the line in the future. I think that's definitely something they could do, because I would love to see how that happens, how that works, how they do that. It's definitely something to look forward to in the future, I think. Also, you know, of course we get the little hints to Tobey as well with MJ later on in the film, and there's all these small little things that they bring up that it's just nice to hear sort of a little update on what's been going on since we last saw them, you know. I mean, the thing with MJ to do with Tobey Maguire's Peter Parker Spider-Man is that it's just a small line that gets said where it's like, you know, I don't know how but we have fixed things, sort of thing. And it's like, that's all we get from the MJ side of things. But there's a lot more Gwen Stacy in the thought process of the film itself, especially later on. The biggest scene we have to talk about, of course, is when MJ falls off the scaffolding. And she's falling, and Tom Holland is obviously jumping towards her. And it looks like he's about to. It honestly does look like he's about to do it, and everything's fine. Of course, Goblin comes in and takes Peter, and of course, who's there to actually save MJ other than Andrew Garfield? Andrew Garfield gets his redeeming moment, saving MJ. A very different way to how he saves Gwen Stacy. He's clearly been thinking about this. Just like how Tobey Maguire has been thinking about how to cure the Goblin. Andrew Garfield has always thought, how could he have done better in this moment where Gwen was going to die? How could he have done better and saved her? And in this moment, that's what helps him to save MJ. Redemption at the highest grounds. Of course, Ned falls as well, and the cape attaches to Ned. So I think the thing with Ned in this film is that he does get given a sort of bigger role than he's ever been given before, but he still feels like too small of a character to do anything with, and that's unfortunate. It's nothing to do with Jacob Batalon. He's a brilliant actor, and he plays Ned off very well, but I just think that while they do try to give him a bigger role in this, just like they sort of did with the last film, it's still too small of a role in my personal opinion, and that's why I don't think if they had killed off Ned, it wouldn't have felt as punchy as if they killed off Aunt May, which they did, of course, or Zendaya's MJ. You know, that's just the case of how it feels. It's nothing to do with the acting. It's just the character itself doesn't feel that big of a character at the moment. And I don't know why. I don't think they're ever going to rectify it, especially with the way things end. Because, yeah, we get all these little things with all these little villains. And, you know, it is a shame that the Lizard and Sandman don't get a bigger screen time, because I would have loved that. But it's the way it is sometimes, you know, in the film series. It's just like, it's sort of a little bit like the situation you had with Sandman, Venom, and Harry Osborn. Is that, like, you know, Harry Osborn was a villain to start with. Going into this film, like, he was the villain. Then he gets his memory taken away, and then all that villainous stuff, it doesn't come back until later on, and then you get it to the point at which he's a good guy again. It's sort of reversed with Sandman. It's like, you know, he starts out good, you know, then he goes bad because he doesn't really trust Tom Holland's Spider-Man because he doesn't know him, which is fair enough. Then he sort of goes good again, then he goes bad again, and then he gets cured, and it's like, okay. So there wasn't a lot they did with Sandman. Same with Lizard, same sort of thing. However, obviously Lizard is caged up at the start of the film. Doctor Strange has already dealt with the Lizard. So obviously you got Doc Ock that was taken. The whole stuff with the Green Goblin is amazing. As I said before, Willem Dafoe as Green Goblin is absolutely amazing. And it's just something that I absolutely love seeing. So, that's pretty much my talk for the film, except for the fact that it's not. There is so much more to delve into. And I feel like there could be a lot more videos out there to come, but I haven't even talked about Electro. Electro is a character that in this film does feel a little bit lacking. So it makes you, it makes you think, why is he going down this route exactly? Why is there so many differences with this version of Electro when it's meant to be the exact same version? And I'm glad that they did actually bring it up in the film a little bit, just not to the point at which to give us actually an answer, and that's unfortunate. So of course, at the end of the film, Peter is given a choice of, he has to give up everything that he's ever known in his past, to the point of which he's got nothing left. The spell must be complete in order to save the universe. That is the issue here for our Peter Parker. And it's quite sad, really, because he says goodbye to Ned, he says goodbye to MJ, he says goodbye to the other Peters as well, which is quite nice. Little hug thing. There's just so much that it feels like really quite a dark ending for a Spider-Man film. If you ask me, it's the darkest ending of a Spider-Man film. I mean, you argue to me that there is not a dark ending to a Spider-Man film, though. I mean, the first Spider-Man film ended with a funeral. The second Spider-Man film ended sort of omnibus to what is going to come ahead for MJ. Like, it wasn't necessarily an unhappy ending, but it was something that happened. You know, it was sort of an ending that gave you the sort of feeling of like MJ's thinking, well, you know, I've got to give up. You know, while I want him to myself, I've got to share him with the world sort of feeling. So, yeah, dark-ish ending. Spider-Man 3, a funeral, and now swing. There's nothing happy about the end of Spider-Man 3. There's nothing happy about Spider-Man 3. The end of Amazing Spider-Man, funeral. The end of Amazing Spider-Man 2, funeral. Pete coming back. But obviously now we know how brutal he's become. And how he's holding his punches. It does make it feel, you know, sort of bigger. And obviously, this film has the darkest ending. Peter, you know, he goes to talk to MJ and Ned at the end of the film when they don't know him. And he decides to leave it as it is. And it's a nice little ending. I think it wraps things up a little bit in this trilogy. Makes you realise that in this trilogy, this is his origin story. All 3 films are his origin. And I think that's really strong. You know, it gives him everything. This trilogy gave him everything. The techie suit and all of that. But at the end of the day, it's brought him back down to earth. It's brought him back down to what we know as Spider-Man by the end of this film. He's in a dingy apartment. He's got his own suit and made himself, that he's sewn himself, which is very bright, very glossy. Hopefully they'll take away a bit of the gloss, because we don't want the gloss. It's too vibrant, if you ask me. But it looks like a really good suit. It's very comic accurate, and it's definitely a really good way to end the film. You know, there's so much to talk about that I'm not done here. However, I'm probably done for the year. There is no more videos for this year, because obviously Christmas is coming up. You know, currently the 20th of December, so a big, you know, for the next 10 days. It doesn't stop. So I will be back on the 7th of January with new videos, and there will be No Way Home videos. I will get them recorded in the next 10 days, just so that I'm ready. If I feel like I want to put one out there, I will. Maybe Boxing Day. So maybe there will be a Peter Parker Pacific talk on Boxing Day, where I delve into all the Peter Parker stuff that happens in this movie, because there is so much to delve into that I haven't talked about here. Review basis, and this is doing this out of 100, 1,000 out of 100. This film is brilliant. It's the best Spider-Man movie out there, no doubt. It's the best MCU movie, in my opinion. Again, just my opinion. And it's the best superhero movie. Dark Knight, move over, because you now have been knocked out by No Way Home. There will be a lot of DC fans out there that don't like that. I don't give a crap. So anyway, that is just my opinion. But I love this film. Absolutely amazing. Please do go and see it. Obviously, if you've already watched through all this video, you have already, you know, watched it. But please, go and see it again. Because there is nothing like going to see it a second time. I've only watched it once, but in previous experiences, like going to see Avengers Endgame, go and see it the second time around, you see things you missed. That's something I might do as well down the line, a video where I talk about what I've missed and what I only noticed on the second run. Some things that always usually happens. There's a small little things that you miss. But this is an absolutely amazing film. One that I look forward to seeing again in cinema. One that I can't wait to get on DVD and watch at home. And just pause at certain moments. Because there's certain things I need to see as well. But yeah. Boxing Day, or just after Boxing Day, I will do another video on Spider-Man No Way Home. And then the 7th of January will be our return date. So, I will see you next time, folks. Have a very Merry Christmas. And if you don't come back to the channel for somewhat reason on Boxing Day or thereafter, Happy New Year to you as well. I thank you for watching. I've been Scrivo. This has been Scrivo Sphere. See you folks soon.